So we need to talk about something. A lot of people, I think, are making some very big mistakes on their account. They think, hey, this is just always told this is the best hero for like the game mode, like Void Campaign and everything, but not really. If you don't have a team around him, there's much better options, and we're going to talk about kind of our experiences on our free-to-play and trying to translate that to what progression other people have on their accounts right now, because while our account is solid, and of course building everything into one hero, don't build wide, building one hero at a time, all the way up to the most powerful possible is the best way to do it, and you've seen the difference. We were a little wide on our account. We went straight up for Swordsman Mockman. We got more progression, but we're still at a hard stopping point. So hopefully this is a lesson for you guys that might have built him. You might want to do some swaps, honestly. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about it. Let's get going. So as you know, this is kind of the dream for everybody to have on their account. Eventually get them to Origin 5. Honestly, trying to get a Giant Killer copy would be amazing. We'll talk about that portion a little bit here too, and then making sure you get a couple of your sublimations taken care of. Of course, the main active ability has to be sublimed out. This is where you're basically going to get chances to do more damage to the enemy, because this is all about doing round 1 damage with Swordsman Mockman, and then also having his light slashing, his second passive maxed out, basically giving us a third target to hit, because without getting this right here, Omen Rift is only on 2 targets. This gives it a third one, and that just basically increases your overall damage by 50%. When you're talking about going against waves where you have so many more heroes, enemies, it's the big difference here. And you guys will see when we get this off, we now have 2 Omen Rifts over the heads of enemies, but the second he uses his ability, a third one pops up. That is the passive that we're talking about. So you're not only just hitting those 2 targets now, you're hitting the 3, which should be a damage boost. But as you guys can see, we're kind of stuck on 146. Now, granted, we are a completely free-to-play account, so 146 I still feel like is respectable. However, I've seen people with only 2 Transcendence Heroes up into the chapter 2 section, and that's where I want to advise people. We thought, hey, you know what, building him as our first Transcendence hero and then having some fun with him would be a cool idea. Why? Because it's a free-to-play account. We do sciencey things. I mean, not good science things. We do foolish testing things, there we go, to see how they would perform, so that maybe you guys get a better example of kind of what not to do. I feel like we do that. We show you what not to do a lot of times here on Barry Gaming, and yeah, it's not always the best advice as far as showing you what to do, but telling you what to do as far as do what I say, not as what I do. This is the perfect example, because an early game Mockman like this really lacks. Can he be the best damage dealer in Void Campaign? Absolutely. Do you need a full team around him to really, really make him shine? You kind of do. And part of it is the heroes that we have with him don't really do much for him. A couple heroes that might make this a little bit better would be someone like Scarlet Queen Halora, giving him additional up to 20 or 24% all damage dealt. That would be huge for round 1. But the heroes we have are just kind of lacking. We, of course, are going to eventually test out Hyperspace Hunter Alamok. I never knew he... Wait, what? I never even knew that was his animation, because I just used his skin. Okay. Anyway, distractions are aplenty. So, you kind of get my point, right? Like, he's just not performing super well. Giant Killer is a big thing for him. Like, it is absolutely big. You guys have seen even a Mockman up at 6 million attack doing less damage than a 2.2 million attack Alamok with Giant Killer here on this channel. We've shown off both of those situations on both account tune-ups and stuff like that. Literally, Giant Killer is so important for this hero. And I don't want you guys building him too early, because even with our tenant location here, we've literally put everything into our power. We're up in the 70s, 80s, which I feel like is a pretty respectable number, because we're starting to need these master toolboxes, and luckily last event we were able to snag a bunch of them, which is really, really cool. Make sure you guys are not wasting them on the auras either if you are doing this. But it does get very, very expensive to start getting more power. And this is where 1.4 million of his power is coming from. Literally half of the power he's getting is just from the heroes that are in his Cloud Island. And this is just becoming a struggle because not only can he can do good in Void Campaign, but he pales in comparison to other heroes in other game modes. Heck, even if we put all of our power into Lord of Fear Aspen, we would probably be done with Sealand 27 and into Sealand 28. That is literally the difference of the power between Lord of Fear Aspen and Mockman, Swordsman Mockman. Man, there's just way too many words in the game now. The names have gotten so big. Vesa would probably be performing pretty much on par or better. Sword Flash as well. Vulcan would probably be doing even better in Sealand if we went that route. Honestly, Scarlet Queen Halora might be doing better as well. We won't talk about Shadow Sealand. That's a weird one. That's one that you guys should not go for whatsoever. But he's just lacking. Even in Tower of Dreams, like, he's pretty solid in Tower of Dreams. I will say this is probably like where the second best area of the game is for him. But one thing that we've really been struggling in because we picked Star Swordsman Mockman, I just had a brain freeze there, is mainly because he's just not that great in Aspen Dungeon. So we're not going to get past what we're at right now, which I think is just, honestly, we're not even on the leaderboard, I don't think. We've just gotten maybe to level 8, level 9. It's been really bad. And honestly, surprisingly, Void Campaign and Void Vortex have become kind of difficult for us because, well, he can still do some good damage here. Let's see if we actually get some protection. Like, he can do well. The problem is he does seem to have a cap pretty early on, and if his main active isn't like killing targets in round 1, that's where you really start struggling. Now, granted, it's nice because you can get multiple actives because you always go before the enemy team. In this game mode, you can see it still gets a little struggle because if he doesn't have an active, he's basically not doing anything, and he does transform into his Star Ascending form, which is quote-unquote his defensive form, much, much faster, which is kind of the reason why I wanted to see if we could build him a little bit different down the road. Now, you kind of notice here, like, his actives, like, they do a lot of damage, but, like, you want to be one-shotting teams. If you have Mockman, he needs to be one-shotting teams. And if you're not one-shotting teams, well, this is what it feels like it happens all the time. So I want to advise people against it. If you have built him, you might want to consider pivoting off of this hero. There are a couple really good options, which we're going to go over here probably in the next day or so. I'm going to try to get rankings of what I think the best first 2 Transcendence heroes to go for are. Maybe even 3. We'll build something up for it. We'll get the community's input on it as well. Let them kind of share their experiences with us as well, and that would be really cool to see. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys next time.